Hey guys, it's Iborg709 coming at you with a review here. I wanted to go over the new Hiden Blade from the Assassin's Creed movie. Honestly, if you haven't seen the movie and you're an Assassin's Creed fan, I would suggest seeing it. If you are not an Assassin's Creed fan, it's not that great of a movie. It was more fan service, but that's a whole nother video. For now, I'm just going to review the blade itself. And as you can see, I have all of the previous toy versions of the Hiden Blade, all made by McFarlane, including this new one. So I wanted to compare and contrast between each of them a little bit, and show you some of the differences and improvements that they've made. So, like most Hiden Blades, of course, it goes on the wrist, just like this, slides on, and on this one of the biggest differences is you have kind of, I think it's basically shoelace across the top here with a pull cord that you just kind of tighten down around your own arm at whatever length you need it to be, and however comfortable it is. And again, like all of the toy versions, it's a button press to actually use the blade there. And there is a locking mechanism for the button. Down on the back here, there's a little switch. Just one way is on, one way is off. Pretty simple. Now, I'm gonna start with the cons first. Big con is the blade itself. So this is something that they've been doing actually since I think the second iteration of the Hiden Blades here. It's one piece of plastic, and it's kind of a rubbery plastic. It bends and warps and it's just kind of floppy all over the place, which I really hate. Now on this one, it's not as noticeable as some of the other ones, particularly Edward Kenway's blade here. It's the pirate one. Because the blade is so thick and it's long, it's quite a bit longer than most of the other blades there. It just is super floppy, and I mean, even when you're using it, you can start watching it droop as it goes down. It's just a really bad design, and of course they're toys, air quote toys, so they can't sell anything too hard-tipped, especially with the action of it coming out like that. It could, potentially be quite bad. In my opinion, the best iteration was the first one here. So you have a two-tiered system, so you have the top tier here, and then a second tier right there that come out, and it looks a little different there overall as far as the blades go, but it works a lot better and looks a hell of a lot better as far as non-drooping and whatever else. Now this one specifically has been to a lot of cons, so I've had to kind of bend it a little bit as I cosplay Ezio, so this one I've had to kind of bend to get around being banned at cons, but it was originally straight, and that's why I like this one, because it doesn't really bend unless you force it to bend. Whereas all of the iterations, including Arno's here, which is fairly skinny, so like this one, it's not as bad of a blade for the droop aspect here, but again, it's super, rubbery and floppy. And so is the blade from, I'm totally blanking on which one this is. This one here is actually the two-tier. So this one is the same as this, but again, it's a lot longer of a blade. So the blade itself, that angle. The blade itself is a fair amount longer, and you have one tier right here, and the second tier is this top tier. And the top tier is that bendy, flexy material, but it, like I said, in my opinion, it looks a heck of a lot better. The action is a lot better. For the eject, you get that two-tier, just looks nice, whereas these, the one tier just kind of looks like you're shooting out of, honestly, a piece of plastic. It just does not look all that great. But back to the new one. The overall design of the blade here is very nice. It's very old, Spanish, looking kind of engravings and carvings, and the blade itself is kind of worn a little bit at the very tippy top up here, which is nice. And you get some nice blue and white highlights at the very tip of the vembrace part here, and then the plastic pieces here are a huge improvement. So this is where this blade gets into the pros, is the overall design and wearability, I would say. So going back to the first Ezio Hiden Blade, it was two pieces. It was the blade itself, and then the top vembrace part here that goes over your arm and underneath the blade here. And for this one and for the couple of the others, it works because it's the way the outfit was originally designed in-game. So it makes sense at least to have two pieces. But the bottom piece, the blade piece, is just two Velcro pieces that go over your arm, that you just kind of Velcro over your arm. And that kind of sort of works, but when you're trying to, wear the blade, it can slide around and just be honestly kind of obnoxious in general. And then the second part here has what is kind of like a belt latch, but because this is all, not hard plastic, but it's not super flexible plastic, it does not, even right now, you can see it's all wonky and out of place, and it doesn't fit over the whole blade. I have had to, for my cosplay iterations, I've actually chopped this section off and had to put zip ties that I've painted the same silver, so you can't really tell, that hold the whole piece onto my arm, because this just does not work at all. And then going on, the Edward one, again, there was Velcro for the actual blade. I've taken it off, and I actually use leather that I strap around my arm. And then there is just more of almost like a rubber band piece that goes around your wrist and the blade. And this, again, kind of sort of works, except that I don't want to say rubber band, the piece of stretchy-ish plastic that they put, is not big enough or not stretchy enough. Again, it just does not go over the blade and your arm, so you can, put it all the way on top of your arm like this. The design looks very good, it just is not wearable. And then you get to the more modern ones here, which are much better designed as far as wearability, but the plastics aren't flexible enough. Like this is from Unity, and the plastic for the bottom piece here, so go on your wrist like this, it's just a big chunk of brown plastic. It's kind of weird and not flexible enough to be able to tighten around your wrist, so when you're wearing it, you have to tighten the top piece of Velcro really tight to keep it on yourself. And then there's this really funky piece of plastic that digs into you. It's just, design, it was on. This one, on the other hand, this one was designed really well. And this is basically one big chunk of plastic, but damn it, it looks good. It was designed well, it's wearable, the blade is a two-tier blade. In my opinion, this is kind of the best of both worlds, where it's pretty much all one piece. This center blade piece does come out, but not easily enough to make it come out at any time. And the blade, it just looks good, honestly. It was well done. And then the newest one here, the one we're actually talking about, kind of hits the best of both worlds as far as the underpiece not being just a chunk of plastic, but also it not having to be as big and bulky as this one is, because this one fits the art style of that game. So these plastic pieces that go around the rest of your arm, they're much more flexible, rubbery plastic. You can bend and warp them super easily. You don't have to do anything to get it around your arm. You just kind of slip your arm in, and you're good. Just boom, and then you tighten it down here. So as far as wearability, it at the top of how good and wearable it is. And these plastic rubbery parts here, they have nice designs and different textures to them that go front and back all the way around, whereas like this one was, the Unity one was just, like I said, a chunk of brown leathery plastic, where at least this one has some nice detail. I have to say I have a little bit of a gripe with this pull thing here. I feel like they could have done something a little bit nicer as far as some way to keep it on your arm, rather than basically just a shoelace with a little pull tab on it. Maybe some elastic bands that would have gone across here, or some snaps or something. Feel like could have been a little bit better to implement, but overall it looks really nice. The blade function is always smooth, and I think, you know, it's, again, if you're a fan of the series and or have seen the movie, it's probably worth buying. And, you know, of course, if you're cosplaying Aguilar, the main character, it's a must-have. But I think if you're just kind of like, you know, whatever, you don't know the series super well, it looks cool, you know, I'd say save your $35 or whatever it was to get it for something else. But overall, that is going to be my review of the new Assassin's Creed Blade. If you guys want a more in-depth review on all of the blades, let me know in the comment sections. If I get enough of a demand for something like that, I'll do it, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.